Hi, everybody. This is Erica from In the Company of Cards, back with another Sunday conversation. Since I last had my guest on, there are many more of you who have subscribed, so you may not remember him. If you scroll back, you will see my first conversation with this person. In case you were wondering, we kind of look alike because we should look alike because we are brother and sister. This is my brother, Ivan Hageman. And he's on now because people loved his the time we spent together, Ivan, the last time, and people have requested that you come back. And last time we just sort of chatted, and so this time I thought that I would introduce. There's many, many more thousands more viewers now than there were last time. So my brother runs a school called the East Harlem School at Exodus House. It's a middle school. Um, and it's in the place, it's on the site of where we actually grew up, which is a weird kind of a thing. And it's a beautiful, it's a beautiful Zen oasis of learning. And the children are terrific. He'll tell you more about the school. What I'm going to do in the show notes is put the link to his school if you'd like to donate. Um, but welcome, Ivan.
Welcome, big sister. Pleasure to see you.
Yes, I am the older one. You can tell he has no
Yeah.
hair. I have a lot of white in mine, but that's all right. So, how have you been since we were last here? A lot
I
of,
want to say, I want to say in Spanish because most of my life is in Spanish because I'm in Spanish Harlem.
yep.
Sean agradables los dichos de mi boca y la meditación de mi corazón. May my words be acceptable and the meditations of my heart. Um,
Yes, I love that. We used to say that when I was back when I was in you know, when I was a divinity school
that's
student.
why I said it to trigger you. I thought low key I could sneak it in español, pero ya tú sabes.
What did we say? See, may the words of my mouth and the meditations of my heart be always acceptable in thy sight, O Lord, my strength and my redeemer is what we would say.
Yeah, yeah. It's a I don't know if it's out of Jamaica, but they turn it into a song. May the words of my heart and anyway,
Words
I'm
of
not
my
gonna say it.
mouth and the meditation of my heart.
Be acceptable in thy sight. Yeah. Anyway,
Beautiful.
um, the rivers of Bab. Maybe I think it's in the rivers of Babylon. I think that might be a court. No, I'm sorry. I got distracted. What did you ask me? How am I?
How have you been since last we were together?
Um, God, when was it?
I don't know, months ago, but since then you've become a great uncle since I've become a grandmother. So that's
Wonderful. What? Yes, I got the wonderful news off camera, but yes, that's wonderful. And it and like it is some sweetness to balance the bitterness that is the acid running through the veins of our most beautiful but tragic nation.
I know
Um,
that right now, even as we speak in this moment, which I think the timing is perfect, much of the country is riveted by the spectacle in Arizona. Is it Arizona? The memorial. So I am glad that we are here uh, together doing this instead.
Amen.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, I mean that spectacle, the spectacle, and there have been a lot of spectacles since we last talked.
A
Um,
lot.
Yeah, I'm not wearing my spectacles, but I got my spectacles here. But I don't want to make a spectacle of myself. It has been anything but spectacular out in the larger world, but my life every day is a blessing, and even more so. Now I'm a great uncle, which means
Yes.
I'm old.
Yeah.
I don't know what the numbers mean, but I started the school at 33. 33 years later is this year. It's on the 103, 103rd Street. Times three is 309. So anyway,
You know,
little
I'm glad you're using those numbers because apparently, according to uh, some segment of the population, Tuesday is the Great Rapture. Did you know?
oh snap. So I got to get ready.
Well, you don't necessarily because I've heard that
Oh, it's too late.
one of the things that people are doing, and I think this is very moving, some of the people who are convinced that they will be taken up in the Great Rapture Tuesday have prepped their homes. Now, you might want to know, what does that mean? They have stocked their homes with food and other provisions for those of us who are the left behind. I think that's
That's
a
nice.
very kind thing for them to have done. Yeah.
Well,
They'll be eating ramen from now until eternity because there will be no rapture on Tuesday, just for the record. But anyway, yeah, that's apparently coming up.
well, I got my dibs on the Ring Ding Juniors.
Okay.
No, no, I try and eat healthy. No, so I've been good. I've been good. But I've been troubled. There's been, my vision has been troubled. Um, Turning and turning in the widening gyre, the falcon cannot hear. The falconer things fall apart. The sinner cannot hold. The blood dim tide is loosed, and everywhere the ceremony of innocence is drowned. W.B. Yeats, yeah, it was Yeats, William Butler Yeats. So it
Yep.
feels low. Yeah, the rapture, second coming. Well, um, but I'm good because I feel like there's no other choice, and it is an affirmative choice. Long time ago, it was said, "I am the owner of my actions, born of my actions, heir to my actions. Have my actions as my arbitrator. Whatever I do, for good or for evil, to that I will fall heir." So, all the stuff going around us, we just got to find ways to be good. Praise and blame, gain and loss, pleasure and sorrow. They come and go like the wind, but to be happy, I think we can be happy. You rest like a giant tree amidst them
And
all.
it's
I
a
stroll
choice.
all the lines.
And it is a choice. I know that, one of the
It's
things
hard.
I do on my channel is I talk about hard things. I talk about what is going on in the zeitgeist, and some of it's not pleasant. But I think joy is a choice. And I also think that we chose to come here in this moment to do this work, to be together, to help move the trajectory of things in a good direction. And
You said very beautifully. I don't know if it was in the last transmission. I'm sorry to interrupt. You said that a certain person occupying a certain high position in the country, he was here to show us who we are.
yes,
I think that was, I mean, it was really helpful for me, and it's true.
yeah.
I'm becoming more and more, and I think the best of us, becoming our truer selves, because we really realize that there is no other choice right now.
What I always tell people when I'm reading the cards, I'll say, well, I think blah, blah, blah. And then I'll say, but you didn't come here to hear what I think. And then people will write and say, no, we want to know what you think. But what I like to do is I like to make the distinction between my ego's experience and understanding and my soul's understanding. And when I read the cards, that's my soul's understanding. So I think that, for example, with the felon, his personality, his ego is all about me, 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 look at me, da, da, da. So he would not think that uh, his soul's mission or his mission is to show.
No,
No, he's just playing his role out in from that ego place. But his soul is a different matter. In fact, I believe that the soul is the part of us that is God, and that we all come from source, we all return to source, including his soul, including his soul. And so the worse and worse things get, it's sort of as though his soul is saying, you know, I agreed to this mission and I know my time here is short. So I'm going to have to throw all of the spaghetti at the wall in the hope that I I show as many people as much as I can about who they are, who they've allowed themselves to become,
yeah.
so that I can then say my job is done and I can leave. I don't think his ego self wants to leave. I think his ego self is terrified of leaving. I think he is surrounded by a lot of people who are hellfire and brimstone, and so he thinks, he's not sure which end of he's going to go.
He
But
said it himself. He's uncertain.
say that. But it's all that part is all ego,
Oh, yeah.
all ego. The soul part of him, we have to ask ourselves always, what is the lesson here? And I think that, a lot of people, they don't do it so much anymore, but a lot of people in my comments would say, how long is this going to last? And it made me think of, King. How long, not long. That call and response. People would say, how long, not long. But that doesn't, but that it doesn't mean that it still won't last for a long, long time, right? This mess could
Well,
last
the revelation has been unwinding since the beginning of the creation. This is
exactly.
just one manifestation of it.
Exactly. It's just one manifestation of it. And we are meant to hang in there as long as we can. I don't know if you read my latest Substack, but there was a quote by Banksy. And I said in my introduction, I said, we don't know who Banksy is. We know he's a London, they are a London artist, who an activist whose work is ubiquitous. I said, you can Google them if you want to find out. But they had a quote, and the quote said, if you're tired, um, rest, but don't stay down. Something to
Yes.
that effect. And that's my best advice now. We are entitled to be tired. All of
Yep.
us are tired. I'm tired too. But I my piece that I wrote about was about active rest, and that athletes know about active rest. If you're a runner and you take a day off, that doesn't mean that you don't stretch that day or go for a walk instead or do whatever. Active rest, because a body at rest stays at rest. A body at motion stays in motion. That means your tendency, if you stop dead and say, let me pull the covers over my head and wake me up when this is over. And I can't help you have it be over, but just what yeah, that is not the right. That's
Yeah,
not the.
it hinders the recovery of the athlete or the soul.
That's right. And so, I talked all about active rest and how we are. This is the long game. This is
Yep.
a marathon, not a sprint, as they say. And
Well,
so,
yeah, and also the struggle that people are experiencing is actually according to Christian, what is it, Krishnamurti. He said it's no measure of health to be well adjusted to a profoundly sick society. So if people are feeling a certain kind of way, that means you're really healthy. If you're really comfortable in this, then you're the frog and they're turning up the water, and it's going to be it's a no. You need to be a little froggy and jump out of there.
one of the things that I've always said about this whole experience in terms of race is that I've always said, most Black people, I'm pretty sure, have felt like we live in a fun house. That, if you've ever gone to a fair and you walk in and the mirrors are very disorienting, and it's a fun house, but you're supposed to act like everything's normal. And if you call attention to it and you say, excuse me, I feel like this is a fun house. Like, I don't know where the exit is. I'm seeing 10 of myself. People, you've broken code and you
Yep.
are, you, that's a bad thing. So for me, somehow the one of the silver linings of all of this, and there are a few, is that everybody is seeing what a fun house it is.
Yeah,
And
the whole hustle, but the whole hustle, it's been going on forever, but they're so aggressive and it's so obvious that now people can't ignore it anymore.
that's right. And so now,
Including his group. They're gonna,
oh,
prices are going
absolutely.
up, the tariff,
Absolutely.
farmers are getting killed, China's
Absolutely.
not buying soybeans. It's already, you're right. You're right. No, just like take a sledgehammer to the mirrors and then we're back in the fairground and we'll buy some cotton candy and then, go back in the porch and talk about it, what good time we had. But no, no one called, no, yeah, all the rules, all the mechanisms. It's like when little Toto pulled back the curtain,
Yes.
it's like
Right. And they're like, pay no
there's that
attention to him.
yes, there's that little orange man who's like, yeah, he's like, and he turns around. So he's starting to turn around, I think.
Yes, and
Oh,
the thing is that then you have a choice. Do you say do you what do I call it? Do you remain in? I mean, maybe it was unconscious before, but now it's conscious cluelessness.
yes, you
You're
have to choose to not
cultivating,
see the boogeyman.
yeah, you're cultivating your cluelessness. You have an
Yep,
opportunity now to stop cultivating that field,
yep.
cultivating something that's a little bit more life affirming and real.
Well, let me talk about life affirming and real because that's what you are. But I want to talk about the three R's. I don't know if the young people in your audience will know it, but the three R's. You know, remember what the three R's were coming up?
Reading, writing, and arithmetic.
Yeah, and as a little kid, I'm like, oh, okay. I didn't realize there was only one R. That was the reading. The writing was a W. In arithmetic, it was
Hey.
arithmetic. Or and in England they say mathematics, you know, but anyway, maths. So yeah, reading, writing, arithmetic. I run a school, but I don't use those three R's. I have my own three R's, and yours is probably the most important R. But I'm gonna go. Can I go through my three R's?
Absolutely.
And this isn't mnemonic. It can be the three B's too, but three R's. It's respiration for once. You know, just I think the speakers probably forgot that they were breathing at this time. I just took a deep breath. I saw you breathe. You know, it's like, and so once you breathe, like people say, and sometimes in meditation, or you follow the breath, but the breath is the mountaintop from which we see everything moving around. People think everything is supposed to drop, it's supposed to be still. Well, eventually, but that's not the goal. It's to see things as they are, you know, these internal storms within. So in our school, in our little middle school, we give attention to the breath. So we give it formally in stillness, and we sit and do seated meditation. Sometimes I do a guided meditation where they're noticing the body, you know, in and of itself, ardent, alert, and mindful, putting aside greed and distress in reference to the world. So there's that respiration in stillness, but also we work on the dynamic respiration, like you say of the athlete, you know, strong and balanced, not just in yoga, but also in whether you can in you can put 60 seconds worth of distance run into the unforgiving minute. We're not raising snowflakes here, um, but the kids learn to be able to keep themselves together when they're gasping for breath. And so, you know, this is physical, but it's also metaphorical. They learn courage in a very strongly imprinted physical way. And in the midst of motion, they know they have a stillness. In the midst of stillness, they feel the amazing motion that's happening with respiration, which makes all of this possible. So respiration is a means, and it's also it's a metaphor. I mean, you know, I think, you know, of your grandchild, my grandnephew. First
Marla.
thing, Milo, the first thing Milo did was take a deep breath.
Mhm.
The last thing I will do, and Milo and everybody else, we will exhale. And so, in between, just in even moments, we're constantly imitating and actually living this coming and
Birth
going.
and death.
Yeah, birth constantly. We're constantly being reborn. And you know, you have, I mean, you don't have to imagine, certainly in this terrestrial life, every time you know, I do an inhalation and I do an exhalation, I'll pass out unless I do another inhalation. So I would imagine and people wiser than me have said that there's another inhalation at the end of all this, with what in the terrestrial form, that there's another inhalation and taking of the breath. But we do that intentionally, and the metaphor of the breath. It's like also, I mean, this society, this spin, this constant drip of from the internet, it leaves us breathless.
Yeah.
And so literally, you know, the first R is to take a breath. You know, another way to say it is, yeah, be present in your body, your embodied self. A lot of us live up here. Some of us don't even live up here. We're just living in somebody else's fever dream that was developed in some AI lab. But to realize that you are a ser humano de carne y hueso, you know, of flesh and blood. All that is beloved and pleasing will become otherwise, will become separated to me. But right now, I am alive and I'm breathing. Yeah, I'm here, and there can be great beauty in it. The one that you come so strongly in, and I do think, you know, you help people breathe through your work. You know, breathe in this kind of noxious political climate, and help people gain an equilibrium, but literally come back to the body. The second R is relationships. So our school really fosters relationships based on awareness, courage, temperance, ideally some transcendence, but generosity, honor. And we develop them through meals that are shared in the fullness of time. Our meals are plant-based, so regardless of, you know, I don't take a stand as vegan or plant-based or whatever, but I think it's pretty good to have a couple of meals where something with a neocortex doesn't experience despair to turn up to give me some good mouthfeel on the plate. Um, but relationships, they've done all these studies, you know, with young adults. 18 out of 20, was it 1 out of 3 of adults 18 through 25 feel that they have no meaningful relationships. And then when you talk about um, there's constant violence of a structural level, but when you talk about the kinetic violence visited upon the famous here and there, because it's mostly with the nameless.
Yeah.
But the people who do these things are people. The number one external factor is that they're lonely. And if people had community like you create here, then they wouldn't feel this kind of despair. So much of it, at our school, I bow to every kid every day. I bow to their parents to greet them and to say farewell, like I see you. And so many times it's just enough.
Mhm.
So relationships. And there's this guy who stopped by. I see him on occasion, and guy from Puerto Rico, but he's very Anglo looking. He always speaks to me in English, and he said, "Do you have any extra sweatpants?" And he said, "I'm bleeding through these." And he showed me. He had shown me before his wounds. And this guy is a drug addict. And he stopped and just wanted to talk to me. And we talked. I listened, was mostly listening for a while. And he was saying, um, it's so hard being out here on these streets. I see these people walking to work. He said they think I don't want that. I want that. He said, he's telling me about, and people know, but horse tranquilizers. Those are the things that are causing these ulcers in his leg that can't close. And he was telling me about this cop who's trying to get him to turn on his dealers. And he said the cop arrested him, sent him to central booking, so he would have to get dope sick. And so he said, his body was racked with pain. So this was like torture. The guy was being waterboarded by this guy who wanted him to turn on his drug dealer, but he knows if he turns on his drug dealer, he'll keep being dope sick or may get killed. And he said, when as soon as I got out of central booking, ran to the roof where I hid my needle, and I didn't feel sick anymore. And I'm thinking of this guy because I recently finished Barbara Kingsolver's book, Demon Copperhead,
Mhm.
which talks so beautiful. And and what he was describing, the dope sickness, and then we grew up with all kinds of people, and it's like, why are people doing this? Why are people at this rally today in Arizona? Why are people feeling a certain? Why are people joining your channel? Is because they're suffering, they're sick. This is a really a sick society that is dripping vitriol on all of us, and no one's asking the real questions and breaking the mirrors in the funhouse. And so this is when the late relationships, even of this guy who's like, and he wanted me to know. There was nothing, he didn't ask me for any money. He just wanted to tell me how he was feeling. On the other side, I went to another drug addict story. There's this, I can't give the name, but I'll call her Duchess because she has a royal kind of name, but she's royalty to me. She and her sister, um, uh, they come by the school after I finish bowing to all the kids, and we have a quick meditation most mornings. And Duchess was really sick one day, and she was dope sick, and she never does. She's always been very respectful. We just kind of bow to each other for a second, and then she and her sister say, "I feel much better now." She wanted me to take her hands, and her hands were all bloated from the needles, and then she walked away. Said, "I feel," but I'm like, "Come on, come on." I don't preach to her or whatever, but she said, "I want to get off this so bad." She was very, very pregnant when I took her hands, and she said, "I want to get. I know I'm going to give up the baby, but I just can't get clean." She came by last week, and she looked beautiful, and she had her little baby Corey, and the baby looked great. She's in an 8 to 8 p.m. programming over on Ward's Island for a year, and so that there's also resurrection. So this one guy, he wanted me to see the blood. He like doubting Thomas.
Yeah,
He
yeah.
wanted this, showing me the wounds.
Right.
And I,
You would believe
yeah,
you would
yeah,
believe.
yeah, and so I believed, and that was enough. And then this guy walked off. But they're happy stories too, like Duchess, who and she told me, she said, the way you see him, me and my sister, it helped give me, it's obvious it's not the main thing. She has enormous determination, but she's keeping her baby now. She said, initially I'm going to put it up for adopt, and so there's resurrection in that, and a lot of it happens. She got, great sister, and she has relationship with medical care, and she connected somehow to herself through her baby in her body. So the respiration of another being, these relationships, and I hope she'll be free, but she looked great. So first are respiration, second is relationships, and the final one is reason. And reason is, yeah, scientific reasoning, understanding the limitations and that the universe puts upon us, and knowing that within those limitations, you talk about there's infinite possibility. We're the owner of our actions, and so everything is infinite within the parameters dictate to us in this human body. So, our kids understand and see how the world is, and to act honorably within those things. And at the same time, we are rational beings, but what is it? Pascal says, le cœur a sa raison que la raison ne connaît pas. The heart has reason that reason knows not.
Yeah.
So our reason isn't this sterile kind of book learning, even though we love literature and science and mathematical reasoning, we believe in immunology, all that stuff, and climate change. But it's also, doing this with a loving eye as you examine the universe and the universe within. And then the final thing, and maybe these people who are going to be taken up in the rapture, they left me some sandwiches, some peanut butter and jelly. I said sandwiches. Yeah, I said sandwiches. Peanut butter, PBJ. And the PB and J stands for play, beauty, and joy. So if you have respiration, you got relationships, and you got reason, you're pretty Gucci. But as a palate cleanser or whatever, you want some PB and J, and it happens all through these things, which is what you do when you do your readings. There's a play to it. That it allows us, it's a means and an end. So we do it through wrestling, we do it through poetry, including, and scientific exploration. These are all manifestations of this play spirit, a place where there's a creative tension, a challenge, a surprise, an uncertainty. And then finally, and we talk about revelation, and a revelation where questions, beautiful questions that pop up like stars, that they abound. And much of the healing happens through this playful interrogation you do of the universe. And these, when I'm saying these things, these are ways of looking at. They're heuristics. They're not absolute. They're permeable. They're all true, but they also cut into to each other. The play of breath is respiration, and then beauty. And beauty is an inspiration for us to keep staying at the cards, behind you, at your tarot deck. I mean, it's, you could do the same thing, but the beauty of the cards gets us to look and do these kind of universal inquiries. And so here at our school, we do it through the visual arts. We see it through our exploration of the natural world. We have a beautiful, you've seen our building. It's a beautiful design. Most of the poor, I mean, the people at the kids of people who, voted for somebody who has contempt for them, they aren't in beautiful spaces. This school is bespoke and bejeweled with sunlight coming through dappled trees and, from a backyard setting. But beauty is really, really important. But it's pointing at something. It's the finger pointing at the moon. But beauty has to be part of it, and you did that intentionally through your deck. And then the final thing, and I think this is another thing that people are drawn to you, but we also do it intentionally in our school. There has to be joy.
Yeah.
Most kids are in these huge schools. No one knows their name. They're being measured on two bands of human endeavor that mean nothing. Now the singularity has already happened. It's mathematical, procedural, and language memorization of words. And so that's, the SAT, and those don't mean so much anymore with AI. I mean, I think they're useful, but in the mid there, but there's no joy. So most people, most kids live in sterile environments. You look at these people who are doing these shootings, and they're miserable. It's like, I'm not talking. I don't want to. Well, will want to say briefly, and you probably said this already. The equation of one side, the body count is way harder from one's higher on one side than from another. And there's been some lies about that. But all those people have something in common. They experienced no joy in their school. They were treated like monsters. And this is happening for millions of kids. So people are like, why is this happening? What are you crazy? Why is it not happening more? I
Right.
mean, in England, they don't, different culture, whatever, but they don't have a high body. But when you fasten on this despair where kids are not experiencing play, beauty, and joy and respiration and relationships and reasoning, in England, there's a punch up, or it's bad, but maybe somebody gets stabbed. Here, with automatic weapons, a lot higher body count. So it's not, oh, why this happened? Why not? Why not? So laughter, smiles, they're mandatory here. That's the one. It's like if I don't see a kid smiling, laughing at least once a day, I'll say, well, okay, I got to figure this out. Otherwise, you fire me. So 3 hours, play beauty and joy. Y'all are welcome. That's it. That's the secret. So that's the institutional secret sauce. But and other people have said it in different ways, and you say it in your broadcast, but it's a different way to think about it. Another way is the three B's, but it's even more reductionist. So body, well, body's good. Body is in the standing for respiration, the first R. Relationships is buddies, and then the reason is the brain. But if everyone covers those 3 points, because I'm 33, I was 33 when I started school, 33 talking, but maybe the threes are magical anyway.
These are a magical number, a creative number.
Is it? Right?
Yeah,
Anyway, um,
numerology.
okay, so that's my school in a huge nutshell. Um, I cracked it open.
Well,
What you
yes,
got to
you
say?
did. No, I think what you do is amazing work. I'm sure that you are feeling under the gun in new and in interesting ways, given the
Yes,
climate.
yes. Well,
So,
I'll speak about that,
yeah,
somewhat obliquely, but you intimated. Yeah. Well, Spanish Harlem, and Spanish Harlem is I love Spanish Harlem,
we've
and
lived there. I mean, that's where we grew up. So, yes, you know it very well.
yeah, and the reason I love Spanish Harlem is kind of like you and me, big sis. We're liminal creatures. We're betwixt and between heaven and earth, between a distant shore and this one. Even just the fact that it sits. I mean, it sits on the East River, but the East River is really an ocean strait, and having proximity, the ocean, wherever the ocean meets the land, it's really fecund and it's really productive of all kinds of ocean life and birds that are related to the ocean, et cetera, et cetera. Same thing with Spanish Harlem. I mean, there were Native Americans first, and then they got displaced. It's a polite way to say it, and but there was a presence of a Jewish German population, Italian, all this Puerto Rican, black. It's the best. It really feels like America. And so in this final rodeo, I hope it lasts a long time. In my final rodeo, I've got um, people coming from other countries, um, and sometimes I've gotten people upset by saying this, but I don't think it's controversial. These are the best Americans I've met, because they love their country. They love God. They love their church. They love their family. They're respectful. They're dignified. They love school. They love their teachers. Now, I could be describing, um, you know, our mother's existence in the segregated South Side of Chicago, where black people had those same values. Or I could be describing the heartland where our father came from, Nebraska. Love God, love country, hardworking values, the temperance. But these are people from another country, and there's a line that says it's in Spanish, but the they didn't cross the border. The border
Or
crossed
across
them.
them.
I
Right.
mean, California, Nevada. Nevada means snowy. New Mexico, Nuevo Mexico, New Mexico, Utah. I mean, all these states, parts of Wyoming, We got 55% of, I'll say it, I loved it. We got 50, I don't love what happened, but 55% of our southern neighbor, Mexico, we stole in 1848 because the Mexican government, I think in 1836, told the Texans, oh, whatever, you're welcome to come to our country, but you cannot expand. We've ended slavery. You cannot expand slavery. So, we go to war on a pretext so we can expand slavery, and all of a sudden the border moves.
Hmm.
Um, but um, oh, these people are lovely. Oh, these people are lovely, and the mission of the school, as you know, well, initially in the mission, I told the white guy told me, lawyer, so you need to change the mission. I said, well, why is that, Sir Genius Lawyer? And I didn't say Sir Genius Lawyer, but I was kind of thinking it low key, high key. I
Yeah.
said, he said, you say Black and Latino students. He said some white person might come and sue you for anyway. So I changed it. I said, but I say it's a school for people with the lowest of incomes but the highest of values. And in Nueva York, in New York, poverty, race, they're a proxy for each other.
Right.
At least in Manhattan, it's like anybody who's poor, it's a person of color. So it kind of works. But yeah, so as when we were growing up, our neighborhood was toxically ignored, intentionally ignored, except when, well, I can't get into it, but well, some people think, and all these conspiracy theories. But all of a sudden, at the height of the civil rights movement, heroin started flooding into communities like ours. It's like, oh, how did this happen?
Yeah.
Because how's heroin coming in on planes? Who flying them planes? What does it say on them planes anyway? But um, but yeah, so um, yes, at the height of the civil rights movement, that stuff starts flooding in. But besides that, we were ignored.
Yeah.
Um, People had nothing here. We were fortunate. Now we're in the crosshairs. I miss the time when we were toxically ignored.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, the devil may be on the doorstep. I don't know. But yeah, so that's why I have my practice, the respiration of relationships, the reason, a lot of play, beauty, and joy. But, I think LA did a good job. But, I think it's coming our way. Winter is coming. The shadows are getting longer and deeper, but it's cliche, but when the night is darkest, the dawn is about to appear. I mean, and it's amidst us all the time. The light is always amidst us. But yeah, so I'm good. You asking me earlier, but I have never been among such beautiful people who were feeling such immediate existential peril.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
But day to day, these kids are very, very happy. I mean, we teach. Neither of our parents knew how to swim,
Right.
and this is a thing. Average poor person, a lot of them people at that rally in Arizona, they don't know how to swim because that is a privilege of the elites. So all of our kids graduate knowing how to swim. They learn to wrestle. They learn to dance. They travel the world. I got pictures in my hallway of kids standing in Red Square. Got another one in front of the Golden Temple in Kyoto. Got another one in the London Coliseum. Um, it's so great. You got to come to see them. These kids are just amazing. And yeah, but they go everywhere. To Saudi Arabia, to West Africa. They've hit pretty much every continent except Australia and Antarctica, and that they have such grace because we see them and they learn to breathe deeply and realize at the same time everybody else is trying to breathe deeply. Sometimes I tell the kids, I have some kind of annoying little kid who's all about me, me, me. I say, I got some good news for you. You are the most amazing individual in the world. I got some bad news for you too. So is everyone else.
Somebody else. That's right.
Um, each individual, we are the most complicated arrangement of matter in the known universe, but so is everyone else. But we're all children of the stars, the cobalt, the iron, everything is from the explosion of stars. And we
Yeah.
forget that. Like the funhouse mirror, the politics, all that, in some ways, like from outer space, don't even register. Now, I'm not minimizing it, but some people say that we're born from the universal consciousness, so the universal consciousness can get to understand itself better. That we're pushed out, whatever life there is in the universe, so that the universe gets back. The consciousness just perpetually just deepens, and
I think that's
it's
true. I think that makes all sense in the world. I like that.
yeah, I heard it. It's like, oh, yeah, kind of feels right. But so day to day, it is beautiful. It's like, who's that guy who bet? Well, before the World Trade Centers went down, Philippe Petit
Mhm.
balancing in the tight. What I feel like I'm Philippe Petit without the tights. Too old for the tights. I ain't doing spandex. But respect on his name. Put respect on his name.
Yes, that was something back in the day. You're right. Yeah, he did that with the World Trade Center. Wow. Well, they say that I'm thinking about what you said about respiration, breathing, and the moments between the inhale and the exhale is the moment that we pay attention to. And the idea of I always think of Buddha saying that the source of all human suffering is attachment, and we're attached to what will the future be like? Well, what was that in the past? And that if we can, you talk about cultivating joy, being in this moment right now, talking to you, being completely present, not thinking about what I'm going to be doing in the next hour or what I was doing in the hour before. But that's a state of grace and has the
Yes.
potential to be a source of joy. And that's where we have to live in those moments, you know, moment,
Amen.
moment, 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 moment.
Yes, because that's the only thing that's true.
That's right.
All the other the stuff is gone or it's not
Or
here.
or or
The
it's not here
moment
yet.
is,
Yeah.
and that's where all the work gets done. Like people say, oh, the present moment in and of itself, that's where the work gets done.
Right.
um yeah, maybe it was Pascal too who said like all the problems in the world are because people are unable to sit alone in a room.
Mhm.
But if you sit beautifully with yourself, you're going to just bring even more to the fellowship that when you uh, do talk to people of good faith and clear spirit.
Mhm. I think of people like Mandela being in a cell or Emily Dickinson being in a room and being able still to imagine worlds, you know.
Well, you used to quote, was it William Blake? Um, Heaven in a Flower, whatever. Just the I can't think of the name of the poem. Anyway,
Can't either.
um, um, but yeah, that infinitude is in the finitude.
Yep.
You know that uh, yeah, yeah. So it's all unfolding, and it's quite tragic and quite beautiful, and
All at once.
yeah, yeah, and so the purpose of me as an educator, my goal is, my alumni they come back all the time, especially in the early fall when they're just coming back from. They say, I miss the peace, I miss the quiet. I said, your job is to bring the peace with you to
With
the
you.
next
Right.
place.
That's right.
You know?
That's right.
Um,
Yeah, that's what we need to cultivate. Instead of cultivating cluelessness, cultivate that peace and that deep, abiding joy, you know.
yes, yes, and we got to stop cannibalizing each other.
Well, there's some cannibalization that's going on that I'm not mad about, which is I think MAGA is self-immolating even as we speak.
Well,
As
I'm
they,
talking about, I agree, but I'm talking about what down that opened the gates of hell or whatever. Um, that you may have spoken, I probably have, but Hillary Clinton, Kamala. I mean, there's, a lot of men of color did not vote. I mean, like 20% of black men.
Did not vote
I
for him.
understand, voted for Trump.
Yep.
Did not just not vote for.
Oh,
So,
that
communities of,
thick proximity to whiteness, that's that whole thing that, for example, the big politicians would say to the poor white farmers. You may be poor and you may be wearing overalls and I may be in a suit, but guess what? We got something in common. And
yes.
we're together. We're white together. We're not that you know and I
Yeah,
think
that's that
those are some
funhouse
of the
room.
scales that are going to fall away. I mean, the idea that you're going to vote for a guy on a golden escalator and that's going to somehow make you materialize your own golden escalator, or he's going to give you a gold escalator, all of that is nonsense. And I think all of the scales are going to be falling from people's eyes over time. But I think
Yes, yeah, no,
what
it's
people
true.
say, what the old black people say, soon and very soon. They don't mean tomorrow. It's an eschatological sort of reference, but soon and very soon, people are going to see what they didn't see before.
Yeah, I just hope it's not going to be in enough time for some people and God, our climate, our planet. But it's like I'm talking about black males, but Latino males, they went big time in.
Because it's
So
American. If they think it's quintessentially American to vote for the guy who pulled himself
strong
up
man.
by his bootstraps, which were how many millions did his father give him? But anyway, bootstraps, we'll call that.
Well, maybe his bootstraps gave him the heel spur, so he didn't have to
That
enlist in the
must have
Vietnam
been it.
War.
That must have been what happened. Yeah. See? Yeah.
Oops, hate when that happens. Yeah. So the other I just in my little world, which is the universe, but and on my little half acre of heaven here, I don't talk too much about what that guy's doing or what the broken people whose strings he's pulling are doing. I talk about you need to respect female leadership. You need to um, yeah, don't you can't aspire to something that they don't want you to, and you don't want to be a part of that. Um,
Well, and
so
part of what you just said, where you said, I don't talk about blah, 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 where you put your attention is important because what the wolf you feed is the one that grows kind of thing. So I think you're right. Some of what we need to do if we're going to stay rested and healthy and centered and hopeful and joyful is to focus on what it is that we do want to see.
well, and that's why that's another besides misogyny and self-hate or whatever. The reason that things were went the way they went is I just lost my train of thought. Anyway,
It's the old
um,
people thing. Wait till you're my age in a year and a half.
yeah, but at least we both pretty.
Yes, that's true.
That is, who's it? I think it was Ricardo Montalban, or maybe it was this guy. He always said to Johnny Carson, "Johnny, you look marvelous, and it's always better to look good than to feel good. I think it's better to look good than to think good." So, anyway, yeah, um, yeah, no, so yeah. So I don't talk too much about. Well, I tell them, well, it's like an athlete, going back to your metaphor of the athlete. It's like, oh, this gravitational pull. So, oh, get your legs strong. Get your legs strong. I tell them, not to, but you have to assume, just given history or whatever, there's going to be some bad faith. So what do you do? Yeah, what I was going to say, I got it back. I got it back. Is that part of the reason beyond the whatever, corrosive misogyny, etc., and self-hate? Um, and then I lost it again. I was just like, um, yeah. Oh, yeah. Well, this is you said it, but they didn't have any. Not. It's just like him. What are we gonna do?
Right.
What's our
You
plan?
know what?
It's like how are we gonna?
That's the
The
thing.
messaging has been horrible. We're
He
gonna
didn't,
re.
that's right. He didn't get there by himself. People put him there. So what are we people going to do next? Like what is our plan?
Yeah, no, it's like an athlete again. It's like, I do judo long past the time I should be doing it. And, when I'm fighting, I'm not thinking, oh, what is this guy going to do to me? I think, what am I going to do? What do I need to get done?
Right,
What are my techniques? What are my strengths? How can I bring this person down to the earth and,
right.
and submit? But it's an honored opponent in that case. But, what's our plan? How are you going to speak to these broken males who feel, things have passed them by? Because the fact is, it kind of did pass them by. They were sitting on the catbird seat, and then all these people, these capitalists, but oof, sorry. Anyway, these people with the money, I don't know if I'm saying, no, for me, I'm not worried about you. Then they sent all their jobs overseas. And it's like all of a sudden that belt started rusting. And so they pissed off. That's another reason I love Demon Copperhead. I mean, it really, talks better than J.D. Vance, but kind of like how those people, how Appalachia, how they were just betrayed. And the Democrats never said, they just like this guy, this is what this woman, or this is what this person, this is what we're going to do together.
Right.
This is my idea. It's like you're just like constantly thinking, oh, this, like basketball. Oh, what's that? No, what are our plans? Do we have to, are we running gun? Are we going to slow game? It's like, what do we
Okay,
do
not
well?
to be mean, but I just want to say a word on what's his name? What's
I don't
that
name names.
politician, the black politician in the house in the house?
I don't name names.
Oh,
Uh,
whatever his name
Jeffries.
is. Yes, who who approves of this holiday on October 14th for the person being memorialized today, which of October 14th, which happens to be George Floyd's birthday. This is an example of what you're saying. In other words, instead of looking at what are we going to do, Jeffries, what am I going to do? He's saying to himself, well, I don't want to rub them the wrong way. Let's all get along. Let's hands across the water. But this is a person who disrespected you and your mother and your grandmother and everybody else, and you didn't oppose this holiday?
Yeah, no, well, I mean, I don't, I think um, that looking toward either of those darkened houses is not a place to find the
No,
light,
no,
you
that's right.
know? Um,
Talk about Pluto and Aquarius. I have a lot of astrologers on my program because I don't know that much, but I like it. And so I'll invite astrologers of some note onto my channel and they break it down for us in ways that we can understand. But one of the aspects, one of the things that's happening now is Pluto in Aquarius, meaning everything that we know is being broken apart with an eye
Makes sense.
towards the fact that it doesn't work and that therefore it needs to be rebuilt, you know. And you're right. I mean, you called it the dark those dark houses. To expect
There's
that
no light.
those dark houses are going to somehow do the right thing or save us or be about anything but the worst that they're about, all of them, we're kidding ourselves. So it's about again, what wolf do you want to feed? What one do you want to grow? And so then, yeah, so I'm sorry I even brought him
Yeah,
up.
no. Yeah, we've got to look at our light. Another metaphor I heard is like, somebody, I don't have a car. I ride my bicycle. I ride my bike. I roller skate. Don't drive no car. I don't go fast, but I go pretty far. Anyway,
Right,
um, somebody loses their car keys in the house, and then there's an electrical outage, and then they go out, but they know that they lost their keys in the house, so then they go out where there's a street light, and somebody says, why are you looking for your keys out here? Well, there's more light.
right.
It's like, no, fool, your key, find them in
Yeah,
your house, because
yeah,
it's not gonna, the lighthouse, it's a false light if there's any light coming from those
that's
darkened houses.
that's right.
I mean, those people, all of them, well, vast majority, got to have some of the dark triad, at least a little bit of narcissism.
Yes, yes.
Um,
Obama
just
said that. He said, everybody who's run for public office has to be to some degree A narcissist.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, I'm that guy. Trust me. It's like, yeah, that's kind of crazy, isn't it?
Yeah.
I mean, I think there are a few of them that are decent, but no, but they will listen to their master's voice, and their master is the people. I think it's going to finally come around. I mean,
Yes.
them soybean farmers are not very happy,
That's right.
and people aren't happy in these streets either. But these are best of Americans I talked about. Well, they can't send them all back across the border that was broken in 1848. But who's going to pick the crops? Because they ain't gonna be the meth heads who voted for dude. Who's
Gonna
gonna
build
deliver
the
the food,
buildings because
build the
here,
buildings?
yeah,
Yeah, I mean, tend the golf courses,
yeah,
all that. So you're right. I think it's all gonna, yeah, it's all gonna, it's all falling down. It's just, oh my God, you know, and I think it can be built back, maybe even with the singularity. I think AI is enough. We haven't even talked about that, but AI is going to be exposing everything.
yes.
Um, well, it's like when Bitcoin came out. I asked some people who are big investors in Bitcoin, tell me what the hell this thing is. I don't understand it. And they said, Ivan, I don't understand it either. But then, no, but then I thought about it, and I don't know. It's like, I wasn't an econ major or whatever, but it's like, explain to me the monetary system. It's all like you say, the funhouse mirrors. We just agree to it. So,
Yes.
and now it's all electronic. So you're saying this guy with a number and all these zeros after it, he gets to have this, and then this person doesn't get to eat. This person stars on the street, can't get into rehab, doesn't have a decent house. The only reason it exists is because we agree. We've
Yes.
somehow agreed to this thing that is all a fiction. No one has proven
Yes.
to me that this thing, you print money, but with AI, there will be no need for master or slave. I mean, people are saying there will be no need for a CEO. There will be need for people like you, people who are human facing. There'll be need for actors, people with person to person. But AI is going to do, I mean, stock trading. Oh, come on. The algorithms are way ahead of any kind of human stock trader. It's like that's done. Lawyers, I mean, you get all the cases in immediate in that same moment. All these people are going to be displaced. So people are saying, well, it's just going to be the blue collar or whatever. People, there's a shelf life. Like people say, you want to have a job 7 years from the AI people, be a plumber, and then after that, you're out of a job too. So there will be virtually, and actually not virtually, in reality, possibility of abundance. Even now, if people stop bombing each other, this and that and the other, everyone could be fed.
Well,
Everyone could get
and
housing.
not just abundance, an opportunity to evaluate, reevaluate, think about for the first time, what do I want? What do I want my life to be like? How do I want my 24 hours in a day to be?
Yes.
If it doesn't have to be spent, on the daily grind to put food in my mouth, I mean, and I've watched all the TV that I can watch, whatever your thing is that what will give my life purpose? I think ultimately, speaking of Pluto and Aquarius and everything blown up, I think it might, how Gen Z or Gen Alpha, what I think they're now, they're very retro now. There's certain things that they don't necessarily do social media. They don't, they're much more retro, and part of that means that they're much more interactive with each other. They appreciate human interactions. They appreciate quality of life. They appreciate experience more than things. That's going to increase. And, with AI, so for example, let's say an AI supplants an artist and does it more perfectly than any human being could do it, like a piece of art. At first, we'll go through this interim stage where we're like, oh my God, I'm not that good. Oh my God, it's so much better than me. I'm nothing. But what will eventually happen is we'll say, okay, that's the machine. That's what it can do. It can achieve that kind of perfection. But I'm a human being. What does it mean to be human? What does it mean to be imperfect? What does it mean to experience brokenness and being stronger at the broken places? So that the very things that we try to eliminate or perfect or get better at or be better at than somebody else, that will fade away. And what will be valued will be, our very humanness.
Well, what we always were, starting 200,000 years ago, exactly. Well, the Japanese knew it. They have a
Yes,
term for it. Wabi sabi. That,
yes,
that these little imperfections. When a piece of pottery is
the
broken,
gold.
they have to yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But and the Navajos, when they have a rug, it looks like a mistake. It looked like a mistake to the Western eye. No, that's the spirit line. So the spirit of the artist could escape. And so
Knitters believe that if you make a mistake, it's okay. Keep it there. It's supposed to be.
yes. I
Yeah.
mean, and with Japanese denim now, they imitate American denim, but they use these looms where there's some asymmetries and there's a little slub and there's some neppiness to it. And the perfect jean is kind of laughed at by somebody who loves the beauty in handmade textiles. Yeah, no. So no, that's true. That gives me hope. It's true what you say about yeah, because back in the day, not too far. I might say, oh, these slacker no, but then you think about it, because I have people, I have friends who are my age who are at some computer screen or whatever, and they're going to be replaced. And if they're not, it has no meaning. And so the people who are having friendships and talking to people, and maybe like I have one of my alumni, she graduated from Barnard College, and one of her classmates who's a teacher now, she said, Ivan, you'll be so happy. Sarah Lee is traveling in Asia for 6 months. I said, what's she doing? She's just traveling.
Yep.
And this is a daughter of Mexico. Parents were born in Mexico. She had this elite education, and she's realizing I'm going to be on the treadmill till I die. Let's put a
Yeah.
hell to the no. Let's put a hell to the no. But you're right. The singularity is upon us, and then and there's going to be some disruption. You're right. I think the Pluto thing and all, but at the end of it, I think we may be coming back to our true selves, which are hunter gatherers who look at the stars and tell stories and remember ancestors and make, like you say, beautiful pictures that intentionally are have an imprint of an individual. That's what's going to be of value, but
That's
no
right.
one's going to pay for it because there ain't going to be any money, because that fiction, these algorithms want to go toward, this is my understanding, but whatever. I mean, maybe it's wishful thinking too. They only want to do what makes sense. Money doesn't make any sense.
No.
No one can, but especially now with Bitcoin and ever, that's been exploded. These are little electronic things that say, I live in abundance and I got 15 houses, and you die in South Sudan. I mean, it's like, makes no sense. But even now, before AI, I was listening to an AI dude, and he was saying that, yeah, if we just stopped making weapons, all the big, China, United States, Russia, whatever, there would be enough food and everyone could have a decent living. And this is the thing too. I mean, I'm around all kinds of people. Most people, they just want, like you saying, the Gen Alpha, they just want some peace and some beauty and some friendship. And then, people like you will help people navigate their internal oceans and figure out ways to manage this weird passage that we have, maybe 80 times around a star, maybe 90 times around a star, and just what it all means. But that's what that when we'll return to our original humanity with, I think, ideally a lot of lessons learned. So there's,
Yeah.
yeah, and or AI may just trigger some mass epidemic and kill us because humans are basically, but
Well, that's the
positive
thing.
spin.
We are in this sort of betwixt and between stage where, we are experiencing the falling away without yet seeing, what the possibilities are. I'm just saying that the possibilities absolutely do exist. And, we may not live to see it, but maybe our children's children will live to see it. I mean, people say things like, not so much anymore. They kind of know better on my channel. But like I said, they'll ask, well, how long? And I'm tired of this. I'm sick of this. I'm over it. I want it to be over. And I said, I always come back to our ancestors who were slaves, who maybe they were put on a ship and they got off the ship and they looked across the water, sure that somebody was coming to save them, sure that their mother or their father was on a rescue mission. And maybe they spent their whole life thinking that. And then they had children. And then their children had. Now, in the midst of, at a certain point, you stop looking behind you and you start living where you are, which is, of course, what African American people did do. Well, I say black, but anyway, we created a culture that everybody likes to imitate, with the way that we speak, with the food that we eat, the music, the clothes, all of that. And I don't even know what my point was because I just had a
Oh
little.
no, it was about, yeah, no, it was about the AI stuff,
Oh,
and people
yeah,
like,
yeah. So,
when is it going
right.
to happen?
That,
I
when is it
want
gonna
it
happen?
now.
I mean, we came here now to help in the ways that we can help effect this change. We should not be so selfish as to say, well, if I can't see all that change, then I'm just going to sit on my ass and I'm not
Well,
going
but that's the typical modern American attitude.
to. Right.
This is why I love these people who come from other countries. I mean, I got people from Mexico. I got people who fled the Balkan Wars and Kosovo. I got people from Nepal, and they're old cultures, and they know things take time,
Time.
and they have endurance. I mean, Rudyard Kipling, great. I said this quote before, but I love it. To fill the unforgiving minute with 60 seconds worth of distance run, that you squeeze and you work and you work and you work. Why? Because you want to fill the unforgiving minute with, because it's what humans
That's what
do.
we do. That's right.
We exert and we endure, and and there is such beauty. And I put myself through austerities, the austerity of this ancient form of martial arts called judo, and it is good. Just even though it's like whatever, I'm getting older, but I'm also at the same time technique and wisdom. I'm getting stronger. Oh, another thing about the Japanese, like you talk about perfection and this and that. One of the greatest teachers I ever had. I have an amazing teacher now who's a third, literally half my age. But this teacher, Oishi Sensei, um, judo is the art of throwing people. Some people say it's like hitting people with a planet. Instead of punching me, like boom, or but that's the. So he says, no, this is not throwing practice. This is falling practice.
Ah,
That in judo, there's something called ukemi. Ukemi means gracefully falling, gracefully falling. And that's another way to look at this life, to gracefully fall, gracefully give yourself into gravity, and then gracefully return back up, and then gracefully get thrown. And each time, well, it's like when Hercules fights Antaeus, whatever, who's the son of Mother Earth, and Hercules in this death struggle. Antaeus is whipping that anyway, kicking his butt. I can't say the algorithm anyway. Kicking that Greek ass anyway, beating him, giving him an old fashioned beating the snot off of this guy, and he keeps smashing him with a plant, just throwing him to the ground, but he keeps getting up stronger, and Hercules like, what the hell is this? And then he realized Antaeus's mother was Mother Earth, so every time he got slammed, he got up
hold on,
stronger.
his mom's
I
arm.
mean, yeah, that used to be us. We're not, Hercules. We're Antaeus, and the thing is, anytime we get too far from Mother Earth, we get choked out by some Greek hero named Hercules because he ended up putting him out. But yeah, we've got to touch Earth,
Yeah.
got to touch Earth and connect to each other, and yeah, just go back to the old rhythms because like you said, the funhouse mirror. We accept all this stuff like money is like no kids do it. Kids will say this makes no. I don't understand. Why is this person hungry when little kids like this makes no. What is money? And we said, well, it's the economic, and then they do what I do. Oh, okay, not knowing, saying this doesn't make any sense.
They
These
suspend,
little
well, that's what we're trained to do, to suspend our disbelief and accept a convention that ultimately only serves the people at the top.
Yeah, one of the best books I read, I haven't read in a minute, was called The Social Construction of Meaning. I mean, we've got to separate what is socially constructed, and a lot of it's really useful. And then, but no, like you say, no, you're in a fun house, but the other stuff that's really harmful, but know what is real, know what the
It's
truth
real.
is,
It's right.
and that you will understand and explore only in this particular moment.
Right.
Um,
Right.
but it's I look at all this and as we're speaking, I know just horrible, unspeakable things are being visited upon so many people. And it's like it's so when people are restless, we're sitting on this really precious perch. I mean, the blood's not running through my sweatpants. Masonry and steel beams are not falling in on my head. The Lord's Resistance Army is not descending on my village in Congo using um, sexual assault as a tool of war. The Russians and the South North Koreans are not, trying to take over my land and overwhelm my bunker. We're just the fact that we can say "woe is me." That's pretty damn good. Because if you're saying "woe is me," it means we're breathing.
Oh, we
So coming back to the breath,
right.
it's like if you can say I, that means you're pretty good. You're better off than many. And I'm not saying one shouldn't say I, but also realize, well, this is where I think this is the only way. If you understand, oh, this hurts, that's the beginning of compassion because you realize, damn, hurts a lot more for a lot of other
That's
people.
right.
And then when things are glorious, then you rejoice in third Brahma Vihara, the four heavenly abodes in Hinduism and Buddhism. The third one is just taking empathetic joy in other people's um,
Joy.
happiness.
Yeah.
Yeah, joy.
Well, I'm so glad that we had you back. And listen, I
It's an
remember.
excuse to talk to you. I don't talk to you enough.
No, we don't talk enough, and we are. I always have felt you and I came here through the same passage,
Portal,
this
yeah.
portal, as we're very kindred spirits, and I'm very glad to have a brother who I feel that about, like a actual epigenetically connected blood brother. We do similar work for similar reasons, and I'm really happy to be in this world and on this path and in this life with you. So
Well,
thank you so
I
much.
feel the same, big sister. And as you remind me every 15 years, I would have never graduated Harvard without you.
That's true. He's only saying that
No
because
cheating, no cheating.
my brother is so smart. First of all, he finished Harvard in 3 years, took me four. But as he said, he wouldn't have finished at all if it weren't for me because he could not type. So I not only did all my work, I typed his papers.
Yeah. Okay. See, this is more than 15 years. But yeah, and then the funny thing is, I may have said in the other one, I'm so smart that I graduated and then worked as a one-on-one fitness trainer. And then as an altercation de-escalation engineer. I worked in clubs as a whatever. Rode my motorcycle cross country. I didn't
I
split the
think that
atom
that's, but
or
look, I was a public school teacher. I
I
went to,
was Gen Alpha before I was Gen Alpha.
look, exactly, exactly, exactly.
I did not want
And
to get
Alpha.
on the treadmill.
That's right. That's right. And my own daughter, your niece is of that mind. She's very, very educated, went to the best schools, and has decided she's not trying to run anybody's rat race. And you know what? Good for her.
Well, I'm just saying, Jesus didn't run anybody's rat race.
Nope.
He was homeless.
That's right.
I mean, Buddha's like living here, going there, teaching. He was a teacher. And then all these, I mean, because Buddhism says there were all kinds of female Buddhas before going back to through the whatever. All of them. I mean, it's like, no, there's this notion that you have to have a title and a job. Well, with this not the transfiguration, but the singularity, all those roles are going to be gone. And
So
if
in
not,
Aquarius, everything is
don't
finished.
believe the hype because ain't no need for no accountant, ain't no need for no CEO, ain't no need for some finance pro. People gotta go feel the dough and feel the glow. We already know that it's great. No, it is. It's already happened. That's the thing. And then looking at the
Right.
already,
It's already happened. It's
yeah,
already written. Yes.
Yes, and looking at this political moment, which is brutal for these individual souls, and I'm working, doing whatever I can to alleviate the suffering, and to know that this is just, I mean, in the universe, in geological time, it's that this is a moment. It's a moment, and there, and I do believe that, you have to do it, but we have to do it, but things are going to get better. Oh, well, there's one thing, a brutal kid thing I tell the kids too. No one's coming to save you.
No,
No
no,
one's coming to save you. If
we
you,
are who we're waiting for.
I mean, they're all old enough. I say, maybe your viewers make you upset, but ain't no Santa Claus. And I tell my black and brown people, I was like, if you see a big, large white man coming down the fire escape in a red suit, you better lock the window,
That's right.
because that's not Santa Claus.
No.
Red, orange, any of those bright colors, in this winter of our discontent, keep the windows closed,
Yep.
and then work toward a brighter dawn, and some sunny days that are ahead. And
They,
they're here
they
right now.
are. They
They're
are
here.
here right now. That's
Yeah,
right.
it's upon us.
Couldn't agree more. Well, I love you, little brother.
I love you too, big
Um,
sister.
Thank you so much. We'll definitely do this again. Maybe we'll make it
Maka,
a quarterly thing or something. I think
Maka,
I'll,
Maka. Make America kind again.
make
Maka.
America kind. I like
I don't
that.
know when it was
There you
ever
go.
kind, but it was low key a little kinder. It was low key a little kinder.
All
I'm
right.
just saying, right? I mean, anyway, great to see you.
Yes, love you. And you all, I will see you tomorrow for our usual. I'm not sure what we'll look at, but I'm sure we'll have things to look at. So see everybody tomorrow. Take care.